The crypto market is not pretty. It's no fun to be in altcoins right now. This is potentially an opportunity though. Pudgy Penguins is one of many altcoins that are currently selling off, but the sell-off is due to the general market. Let's try to figure out whether or not it makes sense to buy Pengu right now. Now, Pudgy Penguins is not your run-of-the-mill meme coin. Pudgy Penguins was launched with a lot of market makers with a professional team. Thus, the circulating supply of Pengu is not constant over time. Most meme coins had a strong pre-mine. Most meme coins were heavily owned by the team and by early insiders. Pengu might be slightly different because here we've got an increasing supply over time. There is a long-term token distribution schedule that unlocks over the course of 4 years. Fundamentally, the question is always, when the supply is growing over time, will the demand grow at the same rate? If the demand doesn't grow as quickly as the supply, then of course the asset is rather going down. If the demand grows faster than the supply, the asset tends to outperform. Now what we've got over here, that's the Pengu price just in US dollars. And it seems to trade in somewhat of a range. There is an upper ceiling close to 5 cents and there is a lower floor close to ½ cent. Now the problem with charts like this is that the general macro environment has a strong impact on the price as well. This here is now Pengu relative to Solana. Pudgy Penguins is mainly traded on the Solana chain. And here we can see how recently the price has consolidated, relatively speaking. We can also see how there's slightly less volatility in the Solana based chart compared to the US dollar chart. Now there's a chart that has even less volatility. And that's Pudgy Penguins relative to the rest of the altcoin market. So with less volatility, I simply mean that the chart itself from day to day doesn't fluctuate as much. When we've got less volatility, that means we are better at filtering out the general macro to actually find out how is a token doing specifically if we ignore the general ups and downs of Bitcoin and Ethereum that do have an impact on the price. Now we can work with this chart because have a look at this. There's a relatively constant downward trend now with a resistance and a potential support, and we are in the middle of that trading range. Where's the potential bottom in case we continue on that journey down? Or in other words, how much more risk is there relative to other altcoins until the market is that depressed that the token could get bought again? The answer is there's a potential additional drop of 46% from here. Very often tokens turn around at prior supports. We have seen this with Solana itself. We have seen this with Ethereum. There's a chance we're going to see this in Pudgy Penguins as well. The problem of course is that this might take a while. If the current bearish trend prevails, we might have to wait until July or August to hit that bottom again. Now let's have a look at a few on-chain metrics. Let's see how many wallets hold Pudgy Penguins, how actively are those wallets trading, is there accumulation by the bigger wallets, is there accumulation by the smaller wallets. Let's have a look at the data most people are not considering. Now we've got more than 500,000 investors that hold at least some of Pengu in their Solana wallet. In the last month, the number of first-time traders and recurring traders tended to rather trend down. So the attention on Pudgy Penguins tends to decline over time. The number of token transactions is also rather trending down. Here's the trading volume over time on chain. So on the left, that's in US dollars. On the right, that's normalized to 100%, segregated by different wallet sizes. So there's no clear shift happening, but there's definitely much less trading volume on Solana now than there used to be. And here's a number of different wallet cohorts. So on the left side, we see the number of wallets with at least 0.1 Pengu tokens. So that way we filter out the wallets with just some dust, few fractions of a cent worth of the token, right? So if we have 500,000 holders, many of them just have minuscule amounts. If we just add a threshold of 0.1 Pengu tokens, that number goes to 389,000 wallets. Now for 150k Pengu tokens in a singular wallet, so that's now roughly $1,000 worth of the token, the number of holders is already shrinking to 6,400. If we go to $10,000 worth of the token, we only have 1,500 such wallets. So really, the number of wallets with some significant amount of Pudgy Penguins is not large at all. Initially, 500,000 investors looks impressive. But when there's only 1,500 wallets with at least $10,000 worth of Pengu in the community, is much less capitalized than one might first assume. My impression is that the Pengu price is not necessarily driven anymore just by the spot market. It's not just driven by what's happening directly on chain on Solana. The trading volume on the Solana chain over time is going down. Really, what seems to be driving the price now are the token unlocks. So that's the investors and the team that get more and more tokens that sell them off. And also levered speculation, to be more precise, on the Pengu token via perpetual futures. Let's have a look at the perpetual futures data. This is the funding rate over time. When it was highly negative, that's when we got a short squeeze. So that means many people were betting on falling prices. And when that happens, the market makers are incentivized to buy up the supply and liquidate all of those speculators. Currently, the funding rate is somewhat neutral. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. Here is the open interest, so the amount of bets on the Pengu price over time. Note how the Pengu price itself, so that's in yellow, is very much influenced by the amounts of bets on the price. When there's less bets, then the spot price tends to go down over time as well. The open interest currently is very low, and that's potentially an opportunity, right? We want to buy when there's very little speculation. We want to sell when there's a lot of speculation. The same is true for trading volume. Again, there is correlation between how much a token gets traded, how much attention there is, and its price. More attention means a higher price. Little attention means a low price. And currently we are at historically low prices. At least trading volume and open interest indicate that. Have a look at the liquidations over time. They tend to be relatively balanced. There was, of course, October 10th when all the longs got liquidated. That's true for any altcoin. But since then, we have relatively balanced liquidations in either direction. And so short term, there's not much to be expected by the perpetual futures market. Medium term, though, we do see the selling pressure by all of those unlocks. Every month, we have roughly 5 additional million that get added to the supply. And will there be 5 million worth of demand of Pudgy Penguins every single month from here? Given that the number of investors tends to rather trend down for all wallet cohorts. I've got my doubt. This year is $10,000 minimum holding worth of Pengu, and there's only 1,500 such wallets. So that's 15 million worth of capital. That's at least in those kind of wallets. But seeing then those 5 million unlocks every single month, that's problematic. It's unlikely that this chart will grow by 500 every month from here onwards. And so I think there's a very good case to be made that the current relative valuation trend will prevail. Pudgy Penguins is likely going to continue to underperform the general crypto market. It's not extremely cheap nor extremely expensive right now. It's in balance in its trading range, but it can continue to sell off for the next months and lose almost half of its value relative to the rest of the altcoin market from here. We all want to avoid pain. We all don't want to look at a portfolio that looks like this. This is the listed tokens on Binance. And I'm seeing those comments and I'm getting those messages every now and then, right? Why have I been too greedy? Why didn't I sell at the top? Why did I hold all of those altcoins? And now there is a 60, 70, 80% loss. I hear you. Many people have been starting this way. Many people have been going through a bear market, have not taken profit early enough, now cannot recover anymore from the loss. It appears as if research doesn't even matter. You read the white paper of Ripple XRP. You read the white paper of Solana. You are doing your research for the TON network. A lot of technical mumbo jumbo. And yet it seems like it doesn't matter. Everything is down at the same time. And Bitcoin dominance goes up. Bitcoin as a fraction of all of crypto increases. Why do all of that research when it's just all about Bitcoin? Bitcoin gets purchased through the ETFs. Bitcoin also gets purchased through the treasury companies. So Bitcoin can outperform the rest because all of those smaller altcoins do not have those tailwinds, do not have this constant demand. What we see over here, that's the altcoin market relative to Bitcoin. So the technical term is total 3ES relative to Bitcoin. This goes up in very short periods. This year is an altcoin season, 400% outperformance versus Bitcoin. When does that happen? It tends to happen after Bitcoin has already rallied quite a bit. We have seen a 7-8x outperformance of Bitcoin, and subsequently the altcoins outperformed. So the altcoins are just another lever to expose a portfolio to more risk. And that's the issue, right? We do not want to hold altcoins in any other scenario. If we have crashed in Bitcoin, if we have crashed in everything else, and then we come out of the bear market and we've already had our multiple X returns on Bitcoin from the bear market bottom, at that point, it might make sense to buy the altcoins. Before that, I think it's very likely the altcoins will continue to underperform. I very much think that we will continue to see this long-term trend prevailing. 2026 will not be a great year for the altcoins. If the bottom at the beginning of 2021 is any indication, the altcoins could potentially underperform Bitcoin by another 40%. Now, we've been betting on that trend for quite a while. This here is the premium capital pool. So we are betting on falling altcoin prices at the same time, rising prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana. And while Bitcoin in 2025, during that trading period, it was only 5 months roughly, fell quite a bit by 25%, that trading capital pool appreciated. Here are the numbers in more detail. Feel free to stop this video to have a look. But the average premium member after cost made 12% over the course of 5 months annualized. That's 40%, $2,400 profit on average. And so I'm sharing my trades. What kind of altcoins are the worst? And I bet on falling prices. For example, this year, right? This is just recently a Gala short. Gala subsequently crashed. And when we bet on falling prices of a token, we can make money from this market structure. So we simply just invert this chart. Everything that's red becomes green. Everything that's green becomes red. Have a look at this. This is Bitcoin's price development relative to Gala. So this is now simulating. If we bet on rising Bitcoin prices and on falling Gala prices, that's a kind of performance we can get. So instead of trying to figure the 1 or 2 or 3 altcoins that still might make money during a bear market like this, why don't we just bet on the general trend? Some altcoins are simply so bad, just makes sense to bet on their collapse. And it's actually not just some altcoins, it's pretty much most of them. The odds are in our favor betting on falling altcoin prices. And I do not think that this will change anytime soon, because again, altcoin season only tends to happen after Bitcoin has already rallied. The reason for all of that underperformance is token dilution. It's new tokens hitting the market every single week. On average, the altcoin market has additional selling pressure of $1 billion per week. And there's no demand for those altcoins, right? There's no net purchases of 1 billion every week. And that's why the altcoins do that poorly. It's simply the insiders, the early investors that dump on the retail investors. That's why the performance is so poor. So if you're interested in getting my trades, or if you're even interested in joining the automated copy trading, so this is where all of my trades get directly mirrored, then feel free to check out the premium membership. It's currently $125 per month. Or if you want to enter the automated copy trading, you need to get on the yearly plan, which also saves $250. But again, I do think this is money well invested. I try to make more returns for the average member than what the product costs. So in other words, it's not about the price, it's about the gap between value and price. And if the value is high enough, then I think the price is justified. So feel free to check it out. If you're not satisfied, there's also a 100% money back guarantee for the first week. So just message me within the first week and I will send the money back. Really, there is no risk for you. Thanks again for watching. If it's the very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish this regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you on Premium. Cheers.